This is the final hurrah of Xbox.
What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here.
A big new report was just released that Game Pass is making a final big gamble. They're going to put Call of Duty into Game Pass this year. This thing is going to bomb. I'm going to call it right now. You can clip it. I'm filming this at 10 a.m. on May 17th. This is about to be the lowest selling Call of Duty of all time. This is their test to see if they can actually make Game Pass profitable before they just give up on gaming altogether.
What's up, gamers?
What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here.
I hope you guys are all having a great day today, just full of so much positivity and happiness, dude, because, you know, I finally decided to break my streak of not making a video on this particular gaming individual, but, dude, I watched a video last night on stream, and honestly, this shit is absolutely crazy, so I thought it was definitely something worth making a response to, because, I mean, it's just, it really is incredible. Like, DreamcastGuy could almost have a good point in a lot of cases, but he just manages to fumble it at every given opportunity. And this video is the perfect example of DreamcastGuy in his truest form, just talking about something while really knowing absolutely nothing about it whatsoever, while pretending to be an expert at the same time. So, you know, this is some classic, good old-fashioned DreamcastGuy roasting fun here that we're going to be having today. So I don't really think we need too much of an introduction here, guys. I think if you've been around the channel for a while, you're probably going to have a pretty good idea of how this is going to unfold. But the title of the video we are going to be checking out here today is Xbox in Panic Mode. Call of Duty coming to Game Pass to boost subs? I mean, could you imagine that, guys? Microsoft, the owners of a gaming subscription service like Game Pass, putting more games, especially high-profile games, in their subscription service to boost the amount of people that subscribe to that service? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but I have never heard of a company doing something like this before. Offering people more of what they want in order to get them to spend more money with them? It's just a crazy concept that really I don't think I've ever seen before in my entire life, and honestly, I just thank God that DreamcastGuy is here to break this shit down for us, dude, because this is some absolute big brain shit that definitely requires someone who has more than 2 brain cells to rub together to break down and make sense of. So thank God DreamcastGuy is here to provide us with this absolutely fantastic insight into this particular issue. And well, I think we should probably go ahead and check this shit out.
What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about Xbox because a big new report was just released that Game Pass is making a final big gamble. They're going to put Call of Duty into Game Pass this year.
I mean, this is kind of a gamble, and this is what I mean. Like, DreamcastGuy might have a little bit of a semblance of a point here. Like, them gambling the potential $1 to $2 billion that, you know, Call of Duty brings in raw sales on Xbox each year is a pretty sizable gamble, and making the determining factor to stick it in Game Pass instead of just offering it for sale on the platform. So that in and of itself is not a controversial statement. I don't think it's a life or death decision like he's hyping it up to be, but, you know, this is where he has like a little inkling of a point, but trust me, that's going to change very quickly.
And it seems like this is probably going to raise the price of the service. We're going to get a big price increase for Game Pass.
Another point I actually agree on. I think they're definitely going to raise the price of Game Pass to $20. That's why they upped Ultimate from $15 to $17, so that when it goes to $17 to $20, it's not as big of a deal as, say, a $5 increase would have been from $15 to $20 when they initially got Activision Blizzard. So the gradual price increase strategy that Microsoft is employing with Game Pass is nothing unexpected, and I think most people expect the price of the service to go up in the future. So again, another valid point, but just you wait.
But additionally, I think this is the final experiment. This is their test to see if they can actually make Game Pass profitable before they just give up on gaming altogether.
Now here we go, guys, and this is where the spiral begins. Microsoft is not going to give up on gaming altogether. If Game Pass fails, if the Xbox consoles fail, they still have these massive third-party publishers that make billions of dollars each year that they could just sell video games to other platforms from? Why would they quit gaming altogether after investing almost $100 billion just because one aspect of it fails? There's still hundreds of millions of people out there who don't use Game Pass that still buy video games normally. Why wouldn't they just keep making games after Game Pass, let's say, shuts down and just go with that approach moving forward? Like, this is such a massive fucking reach, and this is what I mean. Like, he has a semblance of a point, but then he fucking torpedoes it by making stupid statements like this.
But let's talk about that, and let's take a look at the report. Hi, I hope you're having a great day. If you could, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already.
Yeah, I mean, if you could help your boy out with a sub and a like too, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, so here we go. Wall Street Journal has just published a report talking about the fact that Microsoft is going to release the next Call of Duty, which is rumored to be Black Ops 6, on Game Pass, and they're going to announce it at the Xbox Showcase coming up in June. But if you actually consider this is a very tough sell.
I'm sorry, how is this a very tough sell? You're giving away one of the biggest games of the year for free and I shouldn't say for free. You're going to be paying close to $20 a month for this. So it's not free, but you get what I'm saying. They're putting one of the biggest game releases of the year in Game Pass at no additional cost to the existing sub price. I feel like that's a very easy sell for most people. I don't really know how we're twisting this shit. Now, personally, I'll be the first to admit, I got this wrong, man. I was very skeptical about Microsoft putting this game into Game Pass, considering the fact that the only game they've put in Game Pass from the Activision purchase is Diablo IV and literally nothing else. So it kind of seemed like they were avoiding putting games from Activision Blizzard into Game Pass. So I kind of was left feeling like, I don't really know if it's shaping up to look like they're going to do this shit or not. But I'm guessing this is some sort of Hail Mary play to try and drum up some new support for Game Pass. As we've seen in recent years, the number of Game Pass subs has flatlined and actually declined over time from year to year. So Game Pass is kind of in a rough place right now. So I guess it does kind of make sense. They just spent all this money, so why not try to revitalize the subscription service model and maybe have this be like the launch pad that takes it into the more mainstream market, especially on PC, which I think is where Microsoft was really hoping Game Pass would really take off, considering the fact that there's hundreds of millions of PC users out there with Windows who could have access to Game Pass, but there really hasn't been mass adoption on PC whatsoever by PC players. So this is a possible maybe outlook that they have that, hey, maybe this will help kickstart our success on not just Xbox consoles, but also in the PC market as well, which has a massive audience for Call of Duty, particularly Warzone. So I think it makes sense and it doesn't make sense depending on which lens you want to look at it from, because at the same time, they could potentially lose billions upon billions of dollars in lost revenue from those lost sales. On top of that, people who don't explicitly pay for games are a lot less invested in them. So there could be a lot of cases of people that would have normally shelled out the $70 for Call of Duty and, played it for like 100 or so hours and bought a couple DLCs or, cosmetic packs here or there. But now that they got it for free, they play it for 5 minutes, realize, I don't really like it, I'm not really feeling it. And because they have no actual investment in the game whatsoever, they just go back to whatever they were playing previously, or they try something new, and you lose out on that potential long-term customer to convert into more long-term, like games as a service purchases that otherwise might have done so if they had like the sunk cost fallacy. But anyway, that's probably looking way too deep into this for this particular video, but I don't know, man. This is like really fucking stupid. How are we going to really argue that this is a hard sell to put Call of Duty into Game Pass?
This is a move that I think is going to either work very well, or more likely, it's going to totally explode in Microsoft's face.
My guy, it's $1 billion to $2 billion that they're probably going to miss out on overall, and maybe it drums up some new microtransaction purchases from people who would have otherwise not bought the game, and maybe it helps boost Game Pass revenue. What we're talking about in terms of blowing up in their face is like a rounding error on Microsoft's annual financial statement. I don't really think they're that worried about it.
Microsoft plans a major shakeup of its video game sales strategy by releasing the coming installment of Call of Duty to its subscription service instead of the long-time lucrative approach of selling a game a la carte.
Yeah, and I have an issue with the title of this article too. How is Microsoft shaking up their strategy? Microsoft for the past, 7 years has been putting their shit in Game Pass day and date. So this isn't really a shakeup for Microsoft. It's a shakeup for the Call of Duty franchise. So the title of this article is just as fucking stupid if you ask me.
Now, for the most part, I think we can all acknowledge that Call of Duty is making billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, hopefully we can all agree on that one.
The entire reason for the Activision Blizzard deal in the first place was clearly the fact that Xbox wanted Call of Duty.
Yes and no. The primary focus of the acquisition was actually for the Candy Crush dev King, but yeah, I mean, obviously they want COD. Every single game company on planet Earth ever since COD 4 came out has been trying to replicate it, so yeah, that's kind of a given.
They wanted access to the biggest gaming franchise on the planet. I mean, not to be a Call of Duty hater, I mean, some of the games are good, but they're definitely extremely casual. There are people that go and buy Call of Duty every single year. They just go and spend their cash on it back to back to back. And that upfront sales, that just generates so much income, followed by microtransactions and skins and season passes and map packs.
Well, actually, dude, Call of Duty doesn't sell map packs anymore. They haven't for a very long time.
Yeah, I get what he's saying here, but all of that shit's still there. You can go to the store, buy a copy of Call of Duty, go and buy the battle passes, buy the cosmetic packs. That option's still there. The Game Pass edition is just another added purchasing option for people. And if people are only Call of Duty players and they don't play anything else, why would they pay $200+ a year for a sub-service when they could just go out and buy the game individually? So this is like a non-existent problem. I don't really know where he's going with this.
So the fact that they're trying to test removing that upfront pay, the fact that they're going to take something they just spent $70 billion on and put it out there essentially for free, I think this is... It is a move that I think they are going to instantly regret.
Well, then Activision would have regretted it a long time ago with Warzone, because guess what? You didn't have to buy the game to play it. It was free to play, and they made shitloads of money selling microtransactions to those free-to-play players. So I don't really think this is that crazy of an idea. Yeah, they might lose some upfront revenue, but there is a lot of upside potential as well on the service revenue side, as well as maybe bringing in new people who otherwise might not have spent money on in-game purchases who don't typically play Call of Duty. So it's not just all negatives. There's a lot of upside potential in this entire thing, and it's not an unproven business model considering how wildly successful games like Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Warzone have been with the free-to-play model, upselling you different cosmetics when you play the game. So I don't really know why this is like some massive fucking like, oh my god, dude, I can't believe they're doing this shit. This is completely unprecedented when Activision's already been doing this in some way, shape, or form for quite some time now.
Now, a lot of people are just sort of laughing at this because it is bizarre that this is an announcement that seems almost a bit too late.
Well, technically, it's a bit too early because they were going to announce it at the showcase, but Microsoft in the FTC proceeding literally said they planned on putting this game in Game Pass to make it more accessible to more people for a lower entry price. So this is not really unexpected. It was more so unexpected how the rumors were swirling that they weren't going to put it into Game Pass, which signaled something very different from Microsoft's typical strategy of buying studios and putting their games into Game Pass.
Like, here's Paul Tassi, writer for Forbes, saying this: "It was inevitable they do this. The question is whether it would happen this year or the next. They're way too down the rabbit hole, committed to Game Pass at this point to start making exceptions for first-party games, and this is one of the only remaining places that can drive new subs."
Yeah, which is exactly why it was this massive shock that there was the rumors coming out that this game wasn't going to launch in a Game Pass, which signaled that Microsoft was not having a very strong outlook on the viability of Game Pass. This is all what was expected to happen in the first place. The stuff we were talking about last week was completely out of left field. Microsoft has definitely dug themselves into a hole with Game Pass, and they can't abandon it, because if they do, it's not only going to cause the entire service service to collapse, but it's going to completely disenfranchise pretty much everybody who owns an Xbox at this point if they break the biggest promise of first-party games not launching day and date in Game Pass. Which is why, to my own admission, I got this shit wrong, but when that news came out, it seemed like such a massive red flag for the health of the console and just the overall Xbox ecosystem and Game Pass business model. What we're seeing right now is exactly what most people, including myself, expected when Microsoft initially bought Activision Blizzard.
People are, of course, all the replies are like, okay, Game Pass is about to be $25 a month. So, yeah, this is going to be a two-pronged dumpster fire, because they're definitely going to increase the price of Game Pass. I don't think this is deniable at all.
Wow, dude, I almost forgot I was watching a DreamcastGuy video for a second, because I absolutely agree. I think anyone denying that the price of Game Pass is going to go up is absolutely fucking delusional at this point. I don't think it's immediately going to go up to $25 a month, and hell, who knows how long it's going to be until they actually do raise the price, but I don't think it's deniable that the price is obviously going to go up.
But additionally, I think that internally, companies have sales metrics. They go, okay, we spent $300 million on advertising, we spent $200 million on development, so it needs to sell at least 10 million copies to break even. So this thing is going to bomb. I'm going to call it right now.
Holy shit, dude, this is going to age like absolute milk. He thinks Call of Duty is going to fucking bomb.
This thing is going to bomb. I'm going to call it right now. You can clip it. I'm filming this at 10 a.m. on May 17th. This is about to be the lowest selling Call of Duty of all time.
Could you imagine actually being this fucking dumb, man? Like, honestly, how are you this fucking stupid that you think this in your head, you say it into your microphone, you edit the video back, and you think, you know what? This is a great fucking clip. I'm going to tell people to clip it, make a note, hold me accountable, because, oh my god, this is going to age horribly, man. I mean, not that DreamcastGuy isn't used to completely getting shit wrong, but are you really that dumb that you can say that with full confidence and tell people to make a fucking note of it and have this bad of a take? Like, this is incredible, dude. Like, I'm almost in, like, awe and, like, I respect it to a certain degree, man. I'm at a loss for words of how dumb you actually would have to be and just full of yourself to actually make a statement like this and then tell people to hold you to it. Like, Jesus, man. I guess we'll see how it plays out for him.
Now it's going to bump up some Game Pass numbers, which is kind of the point in a way. Game Pass is in a weird spot because I do think that people are beginning to miss the olden days. People are beginning to miss the Xbox 360 era.
I mean, I definitely agree with that, but I think that is an entirely different issue to what you're talking about right now.
I do think that people are beginning to miss the olden days. People are beginning to miss the Xbox 360 era or early PlayStation 4, where there was back-to-back good releases, but also there was always something to play. There was always something you could pick up for $50 or $60 or indie games for $20. And now, not only is everything $70, but a lot of stuff breaks broken, unfinished, with season passes.
All of those issues you're talking about were definitely present in the Xbox 360 and early PlayStation 4 generation, so I don't really know what he's talking about. When it comes to the quantity of game releases, though, you know, Game Pass is kind of supposed to fix that and give you a greater number of games for less money, but the problem is the stuff that releases into Game Pass, especially for Microsoft, is complete dog shit, so you don't really arrive at a value proposition when all they have to offer you is Redfall and Starfield for an entire year.
Filled with DLC on day one, and people are starting to go, okay, well, what is this going to do in the long run? Is Game Pass good for gaming or bad for gaming? Now, here's a good point. Currently, Game Pass is just a standard 2-tier system, and we don't know what tier of Game Pass this is going to be.
Yes, we absolutely do know which tier of Game Pass this is going to be. This is going to be for Ultimate and regular Game Pass subscribers. Game Pass core members get a very small catalog of select games because it's basically just Microsoft's way of rebranding Xbox Live Gold to inflate Game Pass subscription numbers. But this is not a mystery. We know exactly what tiers of Game Pass are going to get Call of Duty day and date. The regular tier of Game Pass, as well as Ultimate, which is literally just Xbox Xbox Live Gold bundled in with regular Game Pass. So why are we pretending like this is some sort of fucking mystery? It's not.
As it currently exists, there's the core, which is pretty much just multiplayer, and then $17 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, which is where you get access to typical Game Pass. So that's basically, this is how you get the hundreds and hundreds of games, plus new games on day one. I think this price is definitely going to go up.
Okay, we've established that at this point. I think everybody expects the price of Game Pass Ultimate to go up.
In fact, I even said that. I said, okay, so remember this tweet. Game price is about to go way high. I think they're going to increase it at least $4 or $5. People are like, oh, they're going to increase the price of PlayStation Plus. Okay, I don't know why this person is throwing that out. That's also stupid. PlayStation Plus, obviously, nobody should compare PlayStation Plus to Xbox Game Pass.
Why? It's Sony's rival subscription service to, Xbox Game Pass. What's wrong with comparing the two? It's kind of a cop-out, dude. Why can't you compare the two? I mean, I understand the Game Pass, theoretically, if the games were actually good, gives you a way better value, but the price points are almost identical. Why can't you compare them?
Xbox Game Pass has a lot of good games. PlayStation Plus, whatever. I pay for premium, and I often regret it, but...
Isn't premium like the same price as Game Pass and he regrets it? Why are you paying for something you regret? But, consumer-minded Dreamcast guy sees a gaming product in front of him, and he must shell out money for it unconditionally.
Here's the thing. A lot of people are talking about this because as good as this will be in the short term, I think it's going to lead to a lot of bad things all at once.
I mean, didn't you say the Game Pass was bad for gaming? So if this crashes and burns, then Game Pass goes bye-bye. Isn't that what y'all want? I don't understand. What's the issue with this? It sounds like a win-win either way for you.
This is truly going to go down in the record books of Xbox as a catastrophe in the long run.
Yeah, just like Call of Duty is going to completely bomb this year and be the lowest selling game in the entire franchise. Make sure to write this one down too, guys.
Maybe I'm being hyperbolic or overly bleak, but...
Yeah, that's putting it lightly.
Maybe I'm being hyperbolic or overly bleak, but, I mean, Xbox has made frequent sloppy mistakes. The whole thing with the Xbox One, telling people not to buy the Xbox One.
Dude, why the fuck are we digging up some shit from over a decade ago at this point? Come on, bro. There's plenty of new material that you can point to, like Microsoft straight up telling people no console required, and then surprise Pikachu facing when the Xbox consoles are selling on par with the fucking Wii U in the current quarter. I feel like that's a way more relevant example you could point to, but nah, let's go back an entire 10 years plus.
Forcing the Kinect and trying to make stuff originally when the Xbox One was about to come out, it did not have used games. I guess people kind of forget that today. And ever since then, they've kind of been trying to keep up. Microsoft is now so far behind on console sales. I did a video yesterday that they're actually down 5-1.
Yeah, there ain't no sugarcoating that, bro. 800 to 900,000 consoles sold in an entire quarter compared to Sony selling about 4 to 5 million is absolutely fucking horrible, dude. Xbox is in a deep pile of shit when it comes to their consoles, and I don't think there's any fucking way to sugarcoat that scenario whatsoever. It is not looking good right now.
For every one Xbox that sells, 5 PS5 sells, which is insane. And I think Game Pass, they are relying everything on this. If Microsoft can't figure out how to make Game Pass actually profitable, I think we're going to see the entire bubble pop.
Well, yeah, Dreamcast guy, the entire purpose of running a business is to turn a profit. So if a business unit is not profitable, they're probably going to stop, producing said product or providing that service that is costing them money instead of making them money. I mean, that's some really deep insight there, but Game Pass, I believe on paper is profitable, but when you account for the massive amounts of money that Microsoft has spent on acquisitions to pad the Game Pass lineup, it is definitely in the fucking fucking red. Not to mention once you factor in opportunity costs of not selling those games instead. I think we're at a point right now where it's do or die for Microsoft in terms of turning around their console and Game Pass divisions, because the consoles aren't selling well. Game Pass subscriptions have stagnated and started to decline overall, and this is kind of just a Hail Mary play, and if it doesn't work out, nothing really changes for them, but if it does, then it's fucking great and it turns the ship around significantly. So it's kind of a no-lose situation for Microsoft long term, and it could actually really help them in the short term especially.
They're not going to keep spending hundreds of millions of dollars buying new games, buying new studios, paying to have good developers doing good work. I mean, if it's not lucrative, these companies exist to make a profit.
No shit.
And Game Pass is such a weird idea where, yes, on paper, hypothetically, it could work if you get 50 million subscribers, 100 million subscribers. Like, if enough people are paying you $10, $20 a month, it will pay off for those big projects. But if you're putting something like Call of Duty in, something that would give you instantly billions of dollars back, and just choosing not to accept that money, man, this is a very interesting gamble.
And see, here I will agree with them, because it is an interesting gamble, and that's the point that Microsoft has reached in this generation. Their consoles aren't moving, Game Pass subscriptions have stagnated, so what really else do they have to lose? Maybe a couple $1 billion in sales, but long term, is that really going to affect the bottom line of Microsoft as a company? Not really. The potential upside definitely outweighs the potential downside, in my opinion, because it's a massive upside long term and even short term compared to a very small potential downside in the grand scheme of Microsoft's entire business operation. So it's kind of at a point now where, the gamble is definitely in their favor. It really can't hurt to try, and I don't really think they have anything to lose at this point. So it kind of makes sense from that perspective.
I don't think it's going to work out, but everybody right now, this is Charlie Intel. This is like a Call of Duty news Twitter account, and they said, with Xbox including Call of Duty to Game Pass, what do you think Microsoft does? Here, let's refresh this and make sure we get the full access to this poll. So, look at this. It currently has 5,000 votes in just the last 10 minutes, and it says here, they're definitely going to increase the price of Game Pass, put it only on Game Pass Ultimate, increase store bundles, no changes. Yeah, I mean, of course, they're going to increase the price of Game Pass.
Yeah, no shit, but I think it's even more surprising that 22% of people think nothing's going to change. That's pretty wild, man. They just spent $70 billion on this bitch. They did not do that just to give it away for free with no additional money coming in. I mean, just think about it this way. If they sell, Game Pass for $20 a month, the extra $3 a month in revenue is $36 a year, which is probably about the typical amount of money they would get from the sale of Call of Duty at retailers or on other platforms as well. So if you look at it from that perspective, they're getting additional money and using Call of Duty as the justification for that. Whether you play Call of Duty in Game Pass or not, it's still a value proposition that's offered to you, and most people will write it off and be like, oh yeah, well I guess that's a good deal after all, man, because there's 20-something million actual Game Pass subscribers if you factor out Game Pass Core, and well, I guarantee you all of them are not buying Call of Duty anyway. So Call of Duty does not sell 20-something million copies on Xbox each year. If they use Call of Duty as the justification to blanket raise the price of Game Pass, whether you play Call of Duty or not, it could actually increase their overall revenues and not really have that much of an impact, because the COD-only players are probably still going to buy it. They're basically making you pay for Call of Duty, whether you want to or not, if you look at it from this perspective, if they have an accompanying price increase with this announcement.
Look at this. They're going to make it so the base level also has a higher cost, and they're going to gradual Game Pass increase over the next couple of years. Yeah, so this is one of the things I think is going to kill Game Pass the most, is I think they're going to jump it up to $20 a month.
Dude, I really can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually agree with DreamcastGuy. I think $20 is going to be the price point, but I don't think they actually raise the price until the day Call of Duty hits Game Pass. I think starting in November, that new price will be reflected, but until then, I think it's going to remain the same until Call of Duty actually hits Game Pass, because that is going to piss people off a lot, but if it comes just as the game is releasing, I don't think people are going to mind as much. Anything higher than $20, and yeah, I think you're going to start pricing people out very quickly.
here in the next 2 months. I think the price is going to go up, and I genuinely believe that before Call of Duty comes out, there's going to be a second price increase.
And this is where he loses me, guys, because there is no fucking chance in hell that Microsoft is going to raise the price of Game Pass and then 4 months later raise the price again. That is absolutely fucking insane. Yeah, if you want to kill Game Pass, that's definitely the way to do it.
I do think that Game Pass is going to go up to $25 a month here within the next year, which sucks, but I think it's the only way that the weirdo executive people over at Microsoft can even fathom paying back a $70 billion acquisition.
I don't really think there's any fathomable way to repay that $70 billion, because you would have to operate Activision Blizzard as a business unit for the next 20 to 30 years as is in order to even hope to recoup that money, not adjusted for inflation, not adjusted for all the opportunity cost that money could have been used elsewhere on. So I don't really think Microsoft ever hopes to pay themselves back off of this acquisition. I think it's more so in an effort to grow the business unit, and that's what they care about the most. And right now, I think making Game Pass $25 would literally do the complete fucking opposite.
Now, the last tweet I wanted to look at is this one here from Jeff Grub, because I do think this spells out the bleakness of the Xbox experiment. Putting Call of Duty on Game Pass and not launching it on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, if that doesn't move the needle on getting people to adopt the Xbox as their chosen next-gen device, then that's it. This is the final hurrah of Xbox.
Of Xbox Game Pass and Xbox as a console, yes, but Xbox as a video game publisher, absolutely not, because the Xbox and Xbox Game Pass could disappear tomorrow, and Microsoft could just make games for PC, PlayStation, and Switch and do perfectly fine profit-wise. That I don't think is going anywhere, but yes, Xbox as a console could disappear if this backfires, because if the current hardware trends hold up and the Game Pass numbers don't really do anything and just continue to stagnate, I have a feeling Microsoft will eventually pull the plug.
I do think it's going to be bad for the industry when they inevitably implode.
Yeah, this is beyond ironic, because this motherfucker has literally celebrated anything negative surrounding Xbox for the past 2 console generations.
Go the Sega path and go fully third party, but it is just strange to see how the purchasing of Activision Blizzard is going into the history books as the worst move they've made.
I don't know if it's the worst move Xbox made, but it's very close to it. They definitely overpaid for Activision, and as someone who bought Activision stock during that whole sexual harassment thing that went absolutely nowhere at $50 a share, I'm very happy that Microsoft overpaid for it. I made quite a bit of money off of that shit, but I don't know if I would classify this as their biggest failure or mess up or whatever yet. It could definitely be. If they squander this, they mismanage the company just like they have pretty much every other studio they've picked up. If they somehow find a way to fuck up the Call of Duty money printer, then yeah, this is definitely one of the biggest mistakes they have ever made, hands down, but we're not quite at that point yet. I definitely think they underestimated how difficult it would be to manage a company the size of even Bethesda, much less Activision Blizzard, when they can't even get their own internal studios houses in order. So I think there is a massive management problem at Microsoft, and honestly, I would chalk up their biggest mistake to having the people in charge that they do now and not leveraging the actual talent they acquired from those studios when they purchased them, who built successful video game companies in the first place and actually had to operate solely off of their success within the industry versus being propped up by Microsoft's cloud money.
I think it's going to make the money in the short term. I think they'll recover their losses in the long term. But if you think that Xbox, as it currently exists, is going to continue, you're delusional.
Man, I hate to say it, but I actually do agree with DreamcastGuy 100% on that statement. You are definitely delusional if you think it's going to be business as usual moving forward for Xbox. The Xbox we knew and loved during the original Xbox, Xbox 360, and early Xbox One era is dead and buried, man.
But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts, and Thanks for watching this video. Hey, I'm actually gonna do an outtake. I never do outtakes at the end of my videos anymore, but let me show you an outtake. The first time I tried to film this video, my microphone collapsed. The first time I was filming this, my whole boom arm and everything fell off, and I was like, what do I even do? Here, watch that. There have already been rumors that apparently Game Pass is just really bleeding funds, that Microsoft has been pouring... What are the odds that my microphone would fall off in the middle of filming a video? But, okay, sorry about that. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.
Well, I don't know about your next video, but this video definitely...
fucking suck dicks in an Olive Garden bathroom.
But that is going to do it for this video today, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section on Call of Duty and Game Pass. Do you think it's going to lead to a price increase? Do you think it's going to save Xbox? Do you think it's going to save Game Pass? Or do you think it's going to be the doom of the Xbox brand as we know it today and force Microsoft to quit from the video game industry? Make sure to let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, guys, I do want to thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to check out this video and for all the recent support as well. You guys are the fucking best, and I really do appreciate it. So with that shit said, I will catch you guys next time.